I'm running a little late. We'll edit this out, but I'm running a little late. Is that camera set up? That camera set up?
Yes.
One day this will be a podcast. Soon.
Yep.
Right? But I have to do everybody's podcast first. I start the media campaign for this book. I gotta face media. Oh, fuckers. Maybe some of the black media will be kind.
So you are still waiting for your hamper?
Oh, no, I don't need the hat. I mean, I left it somewhere. You got a Yankee hat?
Yeah, I have one.
Yeah, but yours, let me see your little Yankee hat. Good morning. Today, no. Nice hat. Yeah, but why would you wear the Yankee hat? No, the wrong hat. My dad, no, the Yankee hat.
Oh, the Yankee.
Thank you so much. All right, well, here's the thing. All right. Hello. Hi, everybody. All right, so we're setting up. It's a shame there's no one even on this thing.
Oh, really?
I'm doing well. Not too many people come on. I remember the factory farming industry, I was thinking this morning, doesn't like me. The factory farming, there you are, Erica. So we can start. Let me first introduce her and then we'll go into it. You know, for I don't know how many years, right? I'm getting old, so it's been some time that every year we would have a dinner for the mothers of the deceased, people who've been killed in the hood for gang violence. Or just gun violence, I shouldn't say gang. Gun violence. Gun violence. And in each of these situations, the mothers were comforted by my sister and brought into a group. And some of them found Erica. Erica found most of them. And they had a group where they looked after each other and where they inspired each other. Those who had lost a child a year earlier could then comfort someone who just lost a child. And those who were together as a group could then come together and be activists and raise awareness about the gun violence in the communities. And those women became a group that I came to know through Erica and the work that she does at Life Camp. And at Life Camp, and I Love My Life is I'm not sure that's one of the names, but we're going to get from Erica all of this information. And we're going to promote the hell out of this. It's not going to be just you're going to take this, fix this, right, make it. But I really want people to know how what she does in her community has to be done in all of our communities. That we need community leadership that is not only working on the women who are of course, that's a huge issue, all the trauma in all the families of people who've lost children to gun violence. But then all the gun violence itself. I was also, the NRA, I was saying I was hated by factory farming. I was at one time, I'm proud to say that, one time I was in the top 5 most hated people by the NRA. So the gun violence in our communities, and then they would get together and they would fight, or not fight, they would use their energy to create more harmonious environments for their children and trauma relief for their children and for the women, of course, who had lost their children. And so every year we'd have this dinner, and the dinner would be for the mothers of the deceased. And that dinner this year, unfortunately, we did not have. But anyway, this was something that Erica Ford orchestrated, and I know that she's here, and I want to bring her in and have a conversation with her.
Because she's this sister's a hero of mine. We all talk about, there she is.
There I am.
Sister. How you doing, baby?
I'm good. How you doing?
Where's her sound? Can you fix her sound? Even here it's low. It's low. You
It's
can
low?
fix her sound.
Still low?
Hi, sweetie. They're getting your sound, but can you turn it up?
All right.
Well, I can't hear her.
You can.
1, 2, mic
Is this
check.
headphone not plugged? I got the wrong
Mic
headphone.
check. 1, 2, you got the wrong headphones. What you gonna
Which one's
do?
not plugged in?
You got Uncle
Hi, babe.
Rush.
It's not you. I think it's us.
All right.
I'll change. Just give me. So, what I was saying about, you can hear me, right, Erica?
Loud and
I was
clear.
saying, oh, there you go. Well, I was saying that you're a hero of mine, as you know, for the work that you do, in the selfless work that you've been doing in the community for so long. And I was saying last night, pictures popped up from last year.
Right,
the dinner.
right.
Just after I'd spoken to you, the pictures came up from the dinner that we had. And every year we had this dinner for the mothers of the deceased, was what we labeled it. And they became
Forgiveness
activists.
dinner.
Forgiveness dinner, even a better name. The forgiveness dinner.
Mothers from both
Erica's
sides
changed.
of the gun.
Yeah, you know, Erica, you changed. That's
Yes.
some bullshit. Because Erica used to be like an activist, you know, like activists can be angry, the warriors. And now, just even changing the name from the deceased, mothers of the deceased, to the forgiveness dinner. Because how do we relieve trauma but forgiveness?
That's right.
So everything about her philosophy has changed a little bit.
Hey, we gotta elevate. Every day we gotta elevate, right?
Yes. She's this woman is fully rested. I live in a place they say there's a lot of feminine energy. You'll come visit me soon. I'll be there. I would have been there now if not for call. I would really go to. I did the Leonardo DiCaprio thing. I seen that meme where Trump wouldn't leave, and then they used Leonardo. You've seen the meme, right? Everybody's seen the meme. I'm not going. I'm not. Literally 2 days ago, I was supposed to stop in New York, spend a week, and then fly to St. Bart's. And I thought about what St. Bart's would be like. Take my kids, of course, right?
Yeah.
That's why I was coming. And the kids just left here. They've been here a month. And I was going to stop in New York, do some work, and then go. And not for myself, but 25 hours flying, stopping in different countries, all that stuff. And then getting on my friend's boat. Because my friend is rich. I was getting this nigga's boat. And you know who I'm talking about. We
Yes.
And he has struggled, you know, everybody's, you know, our age has some kind of heart disease and stuff. And I'm like, I'm going to get on this boat and be a super spreader? And then I thought about just anybody going there. And they can wait a few months.
Yeah.
Can wait a few months. You know,
what is it like in St. Bart's?
Everybody I know got a nickel. All my rich friends, these niggas going to St. Bart's. And
because it's probably COVID friendly.
No.
It's not?
No, they had I just checked yesterday, 180 cases. The island is only 6 miles long.
Yeah.
And then they're all flying from different places. And they're all going to converge on that little island. And I just don't think it's safe for my friends. And I'm not worried because a yoga teacher next to me got COVID and dengue same time. And she called me and she said, I can't come out. And she was all happy and said, I can't, you know, my children are quarantined from me, everybody.
Right.
And then she's better. And I know that's not everyone, but because I don't have any pre-existing health conditions.
Right, because of your diet, your health.
I don't feel threatened. And there's very, very little COVID here. Here there's a little bit, very little.
Yes.
But people are respectful here.
Yes.
You know, that's part of the culture.
Key word, people are respectful, you know, to the process of keeping it at a low number or erasing it. You gotta wear the mask, you gotta keep social distance, you gotta build your immune system, which what you talk about all the time. You know, our whole team just did a test the other day and everybody was negative. We really have been working hard to make sure that our team stay healthy. You know, I can say that in meeting you, we have truly shifted how we live. You, Kepra, and Deepak have helped us in that area of just being healthy and really moving towards a vegan lifestyle to the best that we can. You know?
Well, Erica, you know, the work that you do, I always say this too, because, you know, I remember I would donate to some charities, and I remember being involved in 5 different philanthropic efforts, and I would take the stage in many cases and speak about the work that we jointly would do as a collective, our group. And then I'd look out into the crowd and I'd see the people who did the work. And I'd say, well, I'm up on the stage, but they do the work. And then I thought about it on a macro scale, is how Bill Gates gets awards, right? And he does deserve it. I don't care what the fuck they say. He got too much money. He ain't trying to poison people. He thinks that that's the way to save people. That's his energy. It's not that he's promoting the immune system, but he's promoting the medical the medical way out of the suffering. I'm gonna recommend something that people get mad at me. I think you should take the vaccine. Or at least wait a week and take it. Wait 2 weeks, take it, because too many of us are sick. I know rich people already got scheduled. Right. How about that? I'm watching on TV and said they think it'd be unequitable the way they distribute. I know rich people who are scheduled to take the vaccine today. Not today, but they're scheduled now for taking it soon. And so they are jumping the line. And I won't be one of them. But it's just the way of the world, unfortunately. So everyone who gets a chance to take the vaccine, especially those who have pre-existing health conditions, I recommend. This is just my recommendation. Everybody can get mad. People stay mad at me anyway. I recommend they take it. That's my opinion. So I want to hear about you. I didn't call to tell you what I recommend. I wanted to say a little bit about you, and then I want you to tell us some of the work that you're doing and what is it on your immediate plans and future for your foundation.
Definitely, we got a lot.
What I said is that Erica is a hero in my community that I grew up, where a lot of people are experiencing gun violence and are experiencing trauma. And she's helped them with the violence and the trauma and reducing the violence. And then she was there, of course, for COVID relief. She was in the street, she and her community, her group. Yeah. And she got funded a little bit of money, right? And that little bit of money that she got funded, and the mayor extended to broaden it, helps her to prevent violence in a way that police cannot. When we talk about defunding the police, we really talk about redirecting some funds towards programs and people who can really, really change the trajectory and make a difference in the hearts and minds of the people so that there is less violence and less need for negative ways. They could be part of police training, sensitivity. They could be all of the things that we need to reduce violence in our community. And Erica is a key asset, and every community doesn't have one. Only a few communities have people as effective as Erica around the country. So that's it. Tell us about Life Camp and your work.
So, Queens, that's where we're from, right? And we came up with a model to address violence as a public health crisis, a public health issue. And when you do that, you look at the root. You look at what causes people to use a gun in the first place as a resolution to the trauma and the pain that they feel. And so when, as Russell talked about the forgiveness dinner, we saw the importance of bringing families together to help them heal through the process. And we believe that although you can't measure my pain against your pain, it's about everybody is suffering. And how do we help people to stop suffering? How do we give them the tools like the meditation, like the yoga, like the different practices of moving your body from a more acidic to a more alkaline thing, because what you eat becomes who you are in your practice of just what you put in your body. And so we help people to understand that with the Peace Mobile, we go out around the community and we, do therapeutic services to families.
Put the Peace Mobile image up on the screen so they can see the Peace Mobile. Okay, just make a note. Go ahead.
Yes. Definitely.
I'm sorry,
definitely. Nah, you're good. And so in our community where we grew, we started just with like some people that we both know in common, and then it grew. And it's a concept that we took to the city. It was under Mayor Bloomberg at that time and Christine Quinn. And it started with 5 sites and in New York City across the 5 boroughs. And now it's 26 sites across the 5 boroughs. It started at $5 million and now it's like $46 million, over 60 organizations working together to co-produce public safety. And as Russell said, when we talk about when people say the word defunding the police, what it really means is about moving the resources from the police, because everything can't be a hammer. When everything is a hammer, that means you're beating people who you need to help, who you need to give tools to heal. And so when people come into the emergency room, they get diagnosed, and some people get operations, some people get pills, some people get, anesthesia, some people get MRIs. They all don't get the same treatment. And that's the same thing in our communities. We need to have different levels of how people can respond to situations and get results than just the police coming. And so Life Camp responds to situation, and we intervene, we mediate, we resolve conflict. I see Tony Lewis. Is this Tony Lewis from Chicago, Washington, D.C.? He does it in Washington. I see Prince, who now is working at Citizen, is a good tool to help monitor incidents. And we use all of the different things. You can't just use one thing to resolve the situation. And that's what we do at Life Camp. We empower young people, we empower community, we reinvest in people's lives and give them the opportunity to come home from incarceration after 28, 30 years and get a job with Life Camp and work along with Life Camp and give back to the community that they once was a victim of, in the terms of falling victim to the streets and going to jail for such a long time, and helping reduce recidivism, helping reduce the number of people who are being arrested, helping reduce the number of people that's being killed. And we talk about our victories, that we had up to 4 years with absolutely nobody being killed in our target area. We had up to 562 days of no one being shot in our target area. Around the city, we have helped reduce violence 17%. I see Captain Dennis Muhammad, the peacekeepers. We have the peacekeepers that go out into the community and work and talk with young men and help mentor them and help guide them into doing something different. And just by their mere presence, help reduce the number of violence that happens in that particular area. But we all work together. It is not one organization. It is not one concept. It is not one idea. It is the people working together from which they come to bring. And so we had a conversation, me, Deepak, Chopra, and Russell. And they were talking about the yoga and meditation. And I was like, that shit don't work for us in the hood. That shit work for white people. And they were like, no, it does. And I challenged Deepak to bring it into the community. And he did. And we started the Urban Yogis program and helped shift.
Don't you have that great Astangi? What's his name? Eric? What's his name? No,
Eddie
Stern. Is
Eddie
helpful
Stern.
for your program, right?
Yep.
Great Astangi for the yogi to follow. Many
Correct.
people know Eddie Stern, who's a student of Patabi Joyce. One of the premier students of Patabi Joyce. He's on our board.
He's on our board now. He's the co-board chair now of Life Camp. He's elevated, and we're doing a yoga class now.
I want to interject. What she's saying now, she's working with programs around the country to build for them the infrastructures that can be invested in the way that her organization is invested in and is responsible. It's usually, if you come home from jail and you want to help the community, there's no support for you to do so. And if you do put together a foundation, there's no support to build out the kind of infrastructure that city government can invest in. And so when we say we want to defund the police, or we want to redirect a little bit of funds so that they can be more effective and we can all be more effective. When we say that, we need the organizations that can take in the money and manage the process and use the love that they have for their community to give back to their community, to raise their community out of the condition that they're in. I did see Captain Dennis on here. Captain Dennis is a person who in, 25 cities has created peacekeeper chapters. And I've always challenged them, and with Erica's help, to build out something because it is coming. Kamala, our sister, has said a few things, and I'm only praying. I'm not going to, I'm praying because I remember when Al Gore was such a great environmentalist. And then he became vice president. And the entire time he was vice president, he was silent about the environment. And because it was hard. I'm just going to say this. You got to share it. It's tough. So as vice president, don't talk about the destruction of the planet, the abuse of the animals, and how it affects it. Don't talk. He shut up about that for the entire time when he had power. And then he made all these great movies.
And Biden didn't want to support urban gun violence. He didn't even want to talk about it.
But now that they're in office,
let's see.
Can we challenge them to repeat the words that came out of their own mouths?
We have to.
I talk about police brutality, and they always say, oh, why don't you shut the fuck up about that and talk about the violence in the hood? Well, that's what Eric is doing. But we still don't want our protectors to kill us, right? So I talk about police violence. I say there's one culprit that we are not addressing. and that is the police unions controlling the prosecutors. And so every time we march, over and over again, we march for the prosecutor to do his or her job. It's because they're controlled by politics and by the police unions. Now, Camilla and Cory Booker introduced the bill. Congress people, black Congress people, are afraid of that part of the bill. Hidden deeply in the bill is what she talked about, which is prosecution reform. So that just the way the prosecutor puts Erica in jail, just the same way that they put Erica in jail and get a reward, they should put a policeman in jail and get a reward and not a sword to the throat. So right now, prosecutors are controlled. And so if we want police reform, we got to make them accountable. And that's a very important point. So that's something she said, and now she's vice president, and we got to get the Senate. We have work to do, but she has to execute. She also said something else, which I haven't heard since the campaign began, that animals, and this is a fact, and people get pissed, are destroying the planet. The abuse of animals is the destruction of the entire planet. The environment is the number one cause of cancer. It's the reason that we are dying from the COVID, because it's the number one cause of diabetes. It's the number one cause of the dementia. It's the number one cause of all the clogged arteries that the COVID is attacking, and all the different diseases pretty much that COVID is killing us for are caused by the abuse of animals. She said that. Will she say that to the trillion-dollar factory farming industry now that she's in office? Only if we can push her. So we got to keep reminding her what she said and what we all know. And
the other thing, though, also, Russell, that I challenge you and other folks to is all politics are local, right? And there's a young man who challenged me this morning. He put a post up about me, and and then I went to see him. And one of the things that he's heartbroken the most about is that there's a lot of great people that come from Queens, but you can count on one hand the number of them who are coming back to Queens and getting people and helping give them a chance as well, right? And so I just received a fellowship from MIT to work on a project. And the project that I'm going to work on is around creating the example of what we're talking about in Queens, and using that as the center, ground zero of decreasing the level of violence among young people, right? There's a big thing that the Gun Safety Alliance is trying to do is reduce gun violence 50% by 2025. And my thing to them, and they were all white, big white organizations, but if we were able to create not only the example of how we can reduce gun violence, but how we can control the political domain, right? And so when you talk about quality of food, when you talk about how the prosecutor is controlled and owned by the district attorney, right? If we can begin to shift those narratives to show people what we're talking about, then people can take the example, make it an evidence-based. So we're also working with the University of Chicago Crime Lab. We're working with Wagner University, some major institutions to make our model an evidence-based model, to track the data and show that not only by lip service what we're saying works, but by true data that what we're saying works. And so we can prove that these, and it's proven all over the world, yes, but around the health issue, because Queens got hit so hard by COVID. It was the epicenter of the epicenter.
Friends. I don't know how many you lost, Erica.
Around it, probably more.
I expect more because I don't know some of the people I lost. I haven't seen them in years.
Exactly.
I don't know.
And in Queens, and the other thing that in Queens is we are the essential workers, right? Queens is like that middle class neighborhood, so we're the essential workers. And so how do we flatten the curve of violence, right? As Captain Dennis says, how do we create young entrepreneurs to build generational wealth? How do we show people to flip their business skills that they have in the street to business skills in whatever it is that they would like to do? How do we show them to eat to live, and how that really is a problem for our people, right? How do we build supermarkets or farmers markets or corner vegetable gardens, right? Where people can get access to food, because I can't get access to quality food. It's hard. It's hard to get. So we have to invest in what we believe in. And so I know that we set forth, and this is a challenge that I have for you and Damon John and Steve Stout and Ja Rule and all of those other people, Stephen A. Smith, the people that come from Queens, that salt and pepper, well, salt, pepper really comes from Queens. Q-Tip and Nas.
History, right?
Exactly. And Mark Jackson, Kenny Smith, Kenny Anderson. There's so many that we can name. How do we come back and make our community an example for the world? Because it's the world's borough, right? And so how do we do that? And let's leave 2020, this year that really taught us a lesson. It taught us so many lessons on eating to live, on controlling your environment, right? Controlling your mind, because if not, this stuff would really take you over the edge, right? But how do we put some self-determination in our people and give them, young people, the real example of how we shift?
You are the key, because see, the lessons you've learned and the experience you have and the commitment and passion you have for your community is so powerful. And like you said, a city, I see Akon building a city and an example.
Right.
And Queens, we can do it in Queens.
Yes, we can.
Queens, and because you have, with your heart, your passion, your infrastructure, your relationship with government, your university that will test and share results. You know, you have all the tools. You know, the teachings that you're sharing are ones that are being overlooked. I mean, I worked with, you must know Bob Roth from the David Lynch Foundation.
Yeah.
We went to Chicago. We did 6 schools in the most difficult places. And we reduced gun violence, we reduced all these things through meditation, making the kids sit still. The research got them funded, and now that's spreading all over the country.
Yeah.
But it's just the research, the data.
That's right. That's right.
And using that data and getting our community support, because I find that no matter how much truth is out there, if it's not spread properly, it will never be used. It will be ignored and pushed away, as people have already set agendas and ignore. The police want to protect the police. They don't want to listen.
No.
You know, and we're not working together the way we could. I would say this publicly. I've never said it yet, but there's been behind the scenes talk between Black Lives Matter senior executives and NOBLE, National Organization of Police Reform. National Organization of Law Enforcement. National Organization of Black Law Enforcement. NOBLE. National Organization Black Law. They have dialogue between them. There are fixes. There are ways for us as community leaders, and they are community leaders in both sides, and so are you. There are ways for us to put together models that will, and especially as we are moving the people that we put in office in a senior level, even that prosecution issue can be a national issue, as it's written in the police reform bill. It's a reform bill that where the prosecutors report to a national organization versus local politics. So they are then incentivized, special prosecutors all over the country, and they are incentivized to promote police order. And then they scare the guy next to the man, and then they scare the people, and then everybody starts to either they retrain, they start a whole process because they start going to jail, or they're at risk, so they need to be trained properly. Yeah. So everything changes when you change the system. So what you can do is change the system with your data and with the work that you've done. And there's already so much proof of your effectiveness. So anyway, that's just my 2 cents. But I'm watching you, and I'm proud of you, sis. I don't talk to you enough. I'm proud of you. I would be there because we'd have our dinner now.
It's January. Peace Week. Peace Week is coming up in January.
It's on the way back. It's on the way back.
January,
every year.
It's always on the way back. Yeah.
on the way
January
back because I
15th
go
to the
away with my
22nd.
kids. It's either
Yeah.
before. I don't know why those pictures popped up. So I go to New York,
Because
then I go
last
away with my
year,
kids. I come back,
last
and then
year
I
you
come here.
came. Last year you came at a different time. You remember last year you didn't come. Last year you came at a different time.
It was winter. It was now, right? We
No,
had
it
our
wasn't
dinner now.
winter. It was in September. It was now. It was in September.
Oh. Well, but for some reason they popped up, and it was perfect timing for me because it reminded me
Yes.
of our sisters that we didn't have a dinner this year that I'm
Correct.
aware of.
Correct.
And we've had a dinner every single year, and they come together. And what I know, you see them all the time because
Yes.
they have become activists and supporters of your work. And that's part of the way to heal the trauma. You know, you can't suffer while you're helping others. If you're helping others, suffering
Yes.
disappears.
Yes.
You know, when you're fully focused on
That's
others,
the whole
you can't
process of
suffer.
healing. That's the whole purpose and importance of us healing the people, because hurt people, right? And if you hold on to that anger, if you hold on to that judgment and so on and so forth, you're going to want to take it out on somebody, yourself, the people around you, your children who might still be, you might have other kids. And so somebody's going to suffer from that pain that you're feeling. And so it's important to help people heal. Today is Giving Tuesday. And so,
I wanted to talk about that. Yeah, we'll get there.
Tell
Let's
a friend
talk about
to
that
tell
now.
a friend.
I'm going to give, and I'm going to take your the thing you sent me. I just noticed as I got up, this is early morning for me, and I'm going to take it. I'm going to post it up. It's a GoFundMe. I'm going to put some money in it, and I'm going to ask everybody to support the Life Camp work. Whoever sees it on my Instagram,
Yes.
I see people manipulating and trying to silence Black voices. And I really want to, I'm going to come out now and talk about a lot of stuff, mostly about the suffering in our community and the death that we've experienced and the threat of more death, the amount of toxicities in our food, what legislation we can get. If there's 2,000 contaminants, Erica, that Europe has banned, 1,800 of them are allowed in our products and food. Could you imagine, again, 2,000 products banned, 1,800 allowed in our products, our food. So
that's right.
The food that you're eating is poisoning you. The corporation.
Kepper here talking about health is wellness, right? So true.
The reason we did Occupy Wall Street, I went every single day. The reason we
I remember that.
Corporations control our government. So even if our Democrats talk a good game, we have to push them because they're controlled.
That's right.
Even our Black Congress is afraid of the police union because the police union will hire someone and run them or support someone to run against you and run you out of office.
That's right.
So whether it's the war machines or the factory farming industry or whether it's the gun industry,
right?
You get too big a voice, your ass is gone unless
the music industry.
All of these industries are controlled and controlling of our, and so we have to stop. I think we have a progressive
Wellness
gang.
Wednesday, right, Kazi? We
Wellness
do wellness.
Wednesday, yeah.
That I see Kepper on here, and Kepper does Wellness Wednesday, really promoting strong the importance of building the immune system, the importance of eating right. I think that I talked about it earlier, but the question of how coronavirus has truly put it on the map, showing people the impact of what we eat and healthy. And I know that you are one of the strongest champions of Eat to Live. No pun intended. See the book in the back. We definitely got to do some classes with our young people.
Out soon. Erica, post-pandemic lifestyle that we have to take on. It's each one of us. We want the collective to move in a certain way.
Yes.
But honestly, we cannot do that unless we move ourselves.
That's right.
Each one of us that takes on this role, you don't have to be an ambassador, but you by example are an ambassador. The good shape that you're in, as you are giving your friends lightly or gently a nudge to move towards a better or easier lifestyle.
That's right.
You wake up, like I'm going to leave, I'm going to go to class. I go every day. I'm 63 years old. I gotta move. I gotta put circulation in my body.
Yeah.
If I don't do that, I'm twisted. So I go to yoga every
line
day.
alkaline mind.
Yeah, if you don't take care of yourself, because my friends look, honestly, I love them. Some of them look fucking twisted. and we're not old.
No,
we're not old. I can still,
we're not.
And I'm not a workout fanatic or anything. I do every day. I put circulation in my body.
Circulation.
Every day I meditate, because when the mind is still and the body has circulation, then this is the optimum. And when the body is empty, also I do intermittent fasting. These things, they say, well, you need a lot of resilience to do that shit. No, it becomes routine. This is what I want to teach. Because when my book is released, Erica, I'm going to start a series of programs online. Have you ever seen Mind Valley? The programs. I see. The programs.
Now, yesterday when
we're going to put together for people to actually execute. So when it becomes a habit, you selfishly do it every day. You feel good.
Right.
If you sit around stagnant, you feel like shit. And if you move your body, you feel better. Your brain wakes up.
That's right.
And you're happier. And you get selfish. You want that all the time. So one thing at a time, you fix. You
got to work out.
You got to work out. And you got to eat. And you got to sit. Or if you don't meditate, sleep. You got to sleep. Meditation is a lot of sleep in a short period of time.
She said her non-vegan friends look like grandparents, or even though grandparents. But we definitely. I have not become a vegan yet. I can't say that, but I definitely eat much. I don't eat any red meat.
Perfect.
And barely eat anything else. But the access to quality food is hard. It's hard.
I have a cookbook also. Brother Gary's become a master chef because there's a master chef around the corner. So Brother Gary, who already could cook Ital, West Indian, he already can cook a lot of vegan stuff. We have a book called Vegan. Uncle Rush presents Vegan from Around the World, Soul Vegan from Around the World.
So when is that coming out?
That book is coming right after this book. And right almost immediately after. It's 100 recipes, but we can find cheaper ways to go vegan. People think it's so expensive. Another thing people think is that vegan's for white people. But black people are 3 times more likely to go vegan than their white counterpart. 2 reasons. One, because we're more sick. We have more heart disease. We have more diabetes. We have more cancer. And the number one causes of these diseases are the food. So we know that. And a lot of us, because of culture, West Indians, like Brother Gary, talked about Ital or vegetarian lifestyles or vegan lifestyles. So we grew up with that. I'm 100. I grew up with the West Indian. He sold me weed, and he sold me a vegan patty. I was all West Indian. I'm just saying my corner, right? It's, not a stereotype. This nigga literally sold the weed and
one
the
of our
vegan patty right on 25th Street.
I was just going to say, one of our young brothers he just opened up a juice bar on Hollis and 203rd, right across from 192.
I heard about that.
And Crystal McCrary hooked him up with the brother from the Juice Press. And so he's mentoring him now on that, because he didn't know nothing about opening juice bar. And that's something that we made sure that we connected him with people.
Juice Press, I'm going to call Michael, who owns Juice Press, and why don't he partner? Why don't he start an initiative to build some juice presses in the hood? I bet you we would support him, and I bet Michael doesn't know that statistic that blacks are 3 times more likely to go vegan. He don't know that.
Yeah, no, probably
he definitely don't know that. And so I'm going to call him and tell him that. That's a side call I'm making to Michael Kosh, who's the founder.
And then the other side call is you're making to the Queens people that we got to come together for Queens.
Well, I'm already doing that. I'm putting up all the stuff on the campaign. I'm going to send some money to it. I'm going to promote the campaign. It's minimal. I don't have the same following that I had, 3 years ago.
Your Uncle Rush.
I'm coming back to work.
Your Uncle Rush.
But I can get other people.
You the grandfather. That's right, yo. Ain't nobody gonna not accept in Queens. And I'm talking about a specific group of people. You are respected, just like they said to me. The young people said it to me today. You the OG. You the big homie. so we could do this. You and I
absolutely support you in your effort to bring back but to make a special place out of our community that the world can follow. Because that's really what's happening now. What Mayor de Blasio can brag about in his work with you, it needs to spread. I mean, they could also come with more money. They could also come with more support. I know that they intend for, you know, and there's a few people who we put in office who really intend to do well. They can't do it because they're controlled to some degree.
Right.
But even their controllers know that when the people are calling, they got to back away. Like if the prison industrial complex, when we were fighting to get those people, and you were there, we got 10,000 black men and women out of jail, mostly men. Brown and black, 10,000. The way we did that is not because the Democrats had to do it, but because they were funded also in some part by the prison industrial complex. But when they're called out, and it's their mission to support the underserved community, they got to tell their funders, well, I'm sorry, I'm going to have to do this. They call them up, and they say, you know, we're trying to save your community by putting these people in jail. So, yeah, but the community don't want that.
Right.
And they hang up, and they come to work, and they come to the rally, and they support, right? We found out that many were being driven back and forth to Albany in limos by the prison industrial complex. Many of the people who marched with us. And they were still being, but, you know, again, they will fund the candidate who tries to destroy you if you don't do what they say. So everybody's in a catch-22 because of the way our system.
That's why it is important to mobilize the people, right? Because, and I know that in all levels of the people, because the people who are vegan, who go for this issue, or the people who are black who go for this issue, or the people who are women who go for this issue. But if all of us come together, then we acquire a more successful outcome, because it's not just your issue or my issue, it's our issue. And we're working together.
It is always, Erica, that's such an important point. I want to repeat it. You know, people say they're mad at the vegans because the vegans work on animal rights. They say, why don't they work on human rights? Well, they chose animals, but they're more likely to support black civil rights than any other white counterpart if they were the white vegan that you point your finger at. If they're the people who are fighting for the environment, they're compassionate people, and they're more likely to support black civil rights. And if they're the people who fight against guns, they're more likely to, the NRA in general, they're more likely to. So all the activists are out in the street. That's why if Trump had won, would have really had a civil war, because then we would have marched, because we're marchers. They only got a few people with guns that are angry. And I don't like to say us and them, because we're not great listeners anymore as progressives. But I'm saying it would have been, we all activists. A lot of the people who promote what they call a progressive agenda are activists. We get out in the street. Look how many white people march for Black Lives Matter. The world is changing, but I don't want it to be one side versus the other. We have to listen to each other. I have all the same issues in our black community and all the same issues regarding equal high quality education, equal high quality health care, underserved communities getting opportunities or access to food, you know, fighting the factory farming, all those left-wing issues. But I want to serve more in the radical center as a bridge builder, because we can't demonize everybody who thinks differently. Which is causing is a source of pain, and is a sickness in our politics. Can't be angry. They believe they're doing good. The bank robber escapes, and he said, "What you do?" He said, "Good, I got away." You robbed the bank. You know, good. They always use the word good. Everybody is trying to do what they think is best.
Equal high quality education. That's right, Tyler.
Oh my God, we need that in our community. We need to change the way the taxes work so that all the public schools are equal. We need to change the way our taxes and our support systems work. So when we do the proper health care plan, all of our people, like my friend in Germany, she has my godchildren. She has twins. Porsche, you know, Porsche, really dark and beautiful girl. Porsche in Germany. She had to get a mammogram or whatever, right? She goes and without a referral, and they take her in, and they take her in one office. They do this mammogram, and they say, "Oh shit, let's check." Then they go to another office, She went to 4 offices. It would have taken 4 appointments in America. She got 4 different things checked. They sent her home with a clean bill of health and told her, "Check back Wednesday." They tell my friends in America if they need health care to check back next month Wednesday.
Yes.
And then they send them home and they have to go 4 different times. And the fact that Americans don't have health care.
Yeah.
And then the fact that Americans don't have education.
Yeah.
These kids are sent off to school.
Yeah.
In other first world countries.
And even look at now with the homeschooling, kids don't have the tools that they need to do the education. They don't have the tools that they need. So they're going to fall behind. It's without a doubt, they're going to fall behind in the process because they don't have the tools that they need to do the work. You know, they don't have the tools.
We're not complaining for those who are listening. We're pointing out work that we can do, and Erica's learned something special. I want to repeat this. Hey, Veggie Castle.
Hey, Veggie Castle. I need some food.
In the hood, a great vegan restaurant.
Yes.
What Erica is doing is she's saying meditate.
Yes.
She's saying practice love. She's saying accept people for where they are and teach them what you can if you know something that may help them get out of the suffering. She's not saying be angry. She's saying do the work with a smile.
Yes.
She's not saying, so this is the thing that we don't, as progressives, quote unquote, or want everyone to have a fair shake in life and who want the collective to be healed, we can only go in it with a healed mindset ourselves. And that's something you, Erica, I love all those people who are angry and do the work. It's forceful, the warriors. But in yoga, the warrior is smiling. Every pose is a smile. Right. Then they can see the battlefield and they can do it gracefully. And that's very important, how we do the work, so we don't get cancer while worried about helping others. We can lift up others because of we have lifted ourselves. And that way we're better at lifting others.
Your facts. That's one of the reasons why the move from the angry peacemaker to the heart leader was important, because I saw it depleting myself and depleting the people around me, and if you want to make real change, you have to enter into with people from where they are. And one of the things that I know most of us who are leaders or, activists or whatever, we want what we want done when we want it done. And we can't get it like that because the world doesn't work like that. And you have to be present for people from a place of compassion and not a place of judgment, jealousy, envy, and those different things, because we don't bring true success from that individual. We strip them of who they are and make them who we want them to be. And you don't help someone like that. You have to give them the tools and allow them the time and the space and the energy to see the need to transform and put the practice into work, and not, as I used to do, I would try to fight with the young people to see what I'm saying right now, and fight with everybody, fight with Russell, fight with the elected officials, fight with everybody, fight with the police, and people don't hear you. They tune you out. And so in order to acquire true victory, you just gotta, you can be angry. You can be angry, but you have to.
It reminds me of scripture. When they say, the yogis always talk about, we say in Buddha Sri Satguru Bhagavan Gita in every class, victory to the self. When you operate from the self, and there's God operation going on, and there's a direct feed of how best to serve. And then if you heal the first chakra, the Muladhara chakra first, then this brain chakra, this Sahasrara, this thing that is really a servant of the collective can work. Because you have to get that heart, the Anahata, the heart chakra. When you can start to spin all of them in sync, you got to get the first thing first. The Mula, you have to get the body, the mind, and the spirit of the leader in order for that leader to be an effective leader. So it's your first chakra first. And you are doing that by letting your mind be still, by letting your body be at ease, by letting your consciousness, then you can spread the love by a multiple of what you could ever do with anger. And that's what you're doing. You've become this heart leader. And I like the idea of making Queens the battleground, the place we stand our ground and show the world. I've already, had many conversations with people. Why don't you be like Erica? You don't know how much I say, be like Erica. You don't know that. So I say that to everyone. Be like Erica. Erica's job is to do the work without frustration or anger. because the anger eats her up. Hate hurts the hater. You can't escape that shit. You hate something, you're hurting. So no sense in you hurting. Love is the best way to transform people. And I know it sounds pretty boring. You know, the warrior can come and chop them up, but you got to pick them up.
Right.
You got to put them together so that they can operate from a place where you're coming from, which should be love. No revolution works if you replace hate with hate.
Mm-hmm.
We have to replace hate with leaders who have good intentions. And even in war, they're smiling, but they're doing their duty, because there may be a moment where there's a war. But then they have to come out of the war, forgiveness. Like she said, I love that you changed the Mothers of the Deceased Dinner name to the Forgiveness Dinner. He did that years ago, I know now. But I kept calling it because I didn't really get it. I just, mothers who are hurting because they lost their children.
Yes.
And we didn't have that dinner this year. And I got to go to class. Yeah, I got to go to class. Erica, I love you so much.
Likewise.
Send me information that I'll put up so people can donate, and then I will donate to that. But let's get more governments.
What did Captain Richard say? Captain Dennis said to make Queens ground zero for peace.
Make Queens ground zero. And brother, get well. Captain Dennis is going through a difficult health problem, and I pray for him all the time, and I'm praying for him lately. I know he'll come out victorious, and he can be part of our efforts to make Queens the battleground where we show the world what we can do and what can be done. And especially if we can get the police reform bill done, we're going to need, and either way, we're going to need to invest in our communities. Some of the work, the money that is even wasted, I would say, on violent activities that are meant to suppress violence. Loving activities will suppress violence way better, and Erica has proven that with all the research we already have. Right. Let us make that the example, a shining example for the rest of the country and maybe the world. Thank you, Erica.
Thank you.
I know I talk too much.
Thank you. No,
everything you said is music. Thank you so much.
Likewise.
And send me the information. I may not be able to put it up for now until I get out of class, because I got to race to class now. I love you so much.
Likewise.
Make sure you do some physical action. Don't eat animals.
You see, I'm in my gym. I built one of my rooms as a gym. So I have the treadmill every day. I got the whatever that thing is, and I got
an elliptical in my bedroom.
Exactly. So I
invest in
myself.
Have those machines, and they think those machines are clothes hangers.
Not me. I use it. I use it every day. Please. Take care.
Okay, let me say this as I sign off. That sister is a leader. What we need in our world is more leadership, people who lead from the heart and not through anger. So that's it. Have a beautiful day. Namaste, yogis. You guys will chop this up properly, right? All right, thank you.